Just a few panels of build-up to Sarada's MANGEKYO sharingan has put the whole community on fire. It all goes even crazier when you realize the foreshadowing was made in this panel from Sasuke Retsuden, where Sakura talks about Sarada's interest in the cosmos. This most awaited ability seems like an amalgamation of some cosmic miracle, and when we look at this panel from the other manga of Ikemoto, all the dots connect pretty well. Sarada's special MANGEKYO ability is straight from the outer space, and while there's a lot to talk about how it works, from the power being the ultimate form of Kamui, inspired by the black holes, to a miniature chibaku tensei, but there are some other details worth digging into that you may have missed, like why doesn't Sarada bleed while using this power, how does Mitsuki recognize the MANGEKYO sharingan, and will she lose some of her eyesight after this fight? If yes, then what's the cure which will lead us to her EMS awakening? So let's dive into this interconnected iceberg behind Sarada's MANGEKYO awakening, starting with a hidden foreshadowing from an anime opening that no one knows about. Every huge reveal in Boruto so far seems to have been teased in either the series itself or some side stories. The last time we got a lot of hints and teasers for an event was the whole prophecy arc, which had been cleverly infused in the opening and ending themes of the anime. Remember this scene from Boruto opening 10 where Sarada was looking at the sky with her sharingan and the appearance of a small crescent type of Sasuke symbol on her pupil? Well, with the reveal of her new MANGEKYO power, I think the truth behind this scene has finally been revealed. This frame can particularly be interpreted in two different ways, with the second one being a hint at her new power. The first one is pretty self-explanatory. It's a foreshadowing of Sarada fighting omnipotence, since it was manifested through Aida, whose sharingan is also crescent-shaped. It may also be a reference to Sarada fighting the Otsutsuki's who would appear from the sky, but since this symbol was used by the branch family of the moon Otsutsuki's, in this case the clan of Toneri, I don't think that's a possibility at this point, also because there are no hints for new Otsutsuki to appear, at least for this arc. As for the main hint, there is a side work of Kishimoto called Sasuke Retsuden. It follows Sasuke and Sakura on a mission to find a cure for Naruto's mischievous chakra illness. The disease is linked to the Sage of Six Paths chakra, and Sasuke's search leads him to an observatory in the land of Ridaku. In the second part of chapter 6 of this manga, Sasuke and Sakura find a meteor crater in the observatory which reflected the vast starry sky. Sasuke remarks that he wishes Sarada were here to witness this, and Sakura responds by saying that their daughter has been too obsessed with cosmos these days. And that's not all. Since the manga right now is handled by Ikemoto mostly, even the story part, there is a one-shot of him from 1997 which also goes by the name Cosmos. And what's even interesting is that the pivotal panel of Sarada hugging Boruto has an exact look-alike in this one-shot. Now looking back at this scene from opening 10 with all that knowledge, there is no doubt that it's a reference to Sarada's obsession with the outer space and everything within, and her brand new MANGEKYO ability is likely inspired from a celestial concept as well. While most of the fandom believes it to be a black hole, which is indeed an interesting and plausible concept, there is actually another cosmic element which could explain the true nature behind Sarada's new ability, and the reason it makes so much sense will blow your mind. I'm talking about magnetars. They are a type of neutron star with an extremely powerful magnetic field, the strongest known in the universe. Their magnetic fields are trillions of times stronger than Earth and can significantly affect their surroundings. The reason I believe this power is a miniature magnetar is because only one chapter ago, Araya used a special technique to manipulate the iron sand of Ryu with his sword. He was able to do it because Shinki himself amped up the blade with his chakra, allowing him to control the iron sand as well. And guess what was the name of this power? Well, it was Magnetic Iron Particle Sealing Blade, the literal translation of Jitetsu Ryu Fujin. Viz Media has printed the technique as Lodestone Sand Sealing Blade, but you get the point. So Sarada awakening the power of a magnetar to absorb the iron particles released by Ryu makes a lot of sense in this situation. If you pay close attention, you would realize that this technique only absorbed the sand particles. It did not pull Ryu itself, which should have been the case if it was an amalgamation of the Kamui. But since it only reacted with the iron sand, here's what I believe Sarada's new MANGEKYO ability is going to be. The vacuum type Chibaku Tensei replica could be one of the many techniques techniques of the same ability, in this case the cosmic manifestation. I believe Sarada's MANGEKYO Sharingan can manifest any celestial phenomenon, which would be the most fitting to handle the situation at hand. The idea stems from her vast knowledge in cosmology. She must have a deep understanding of which cosmic wonder would be the most effective in defeating her opponent. In case of Ryu, the magnetar was obviously the most effective since she had seen Araya use the magnetic blade to gain an upper hand. Similarly, in order to defeat the other Shinju, she could manifest a different cosmic power that would either neutralize their abilities or let's say somehow put them on a disadvantage. The whole notion comes from how the MANGEKYO provides the most suitable ability to its users, but in case of Sarada, there is some twist involved. Every Uchiha with the MANGEKYO had obtained some special ability unique to their circumstances, starting with the Amaterasu, the undying flames manifested by the Uchiha brothers Itachi and Sasuke. Itachi's Amaterasu reflects his self-consuming devotion to protecting Sasuke, as his love burned as intensely as the flames. Sasuke's Amaterasu was formed out of vengeance, a hatred so deep that it took the form of eternal fire. Then comes the Tsukuyomi, wielded by Itachi. It's a genjutsu which bends time, turning seconds into years of mental torment, reflecting his manipulative nature and the emotional burden he carried. As for Obito, his Kamui distorts space, transporting objects or himself into another dimension. It portrays his desire to escape reality, mirroring how he ran from his pain, grief and the truth of his past. Then we have Shisui's Kotoamasu Kami, an undetectable genjutsu that alters memories and emotions without the realization of the target. It reflects his strong loyalty and his commitment to protect the Uchiha clan from within. A common thing about all these MANGEKYO awakenings was that they were an outcome of intense emotional pain and trauma felt by the user. Sarada's case is different since her MANGEKYO awakened due to her strong feelings of love for Boruto. The title of the chapter indicates the same thing as well, and the Shinju have been trying to decipher this concept too. This only proves that love is one of the main themes of the story, which is even reflected in the actions of all the characters. Yoro's speech to Sarada makes her realize that she can't hold back anymore, and in order to save her loved one, she will need to go all in. This particular moment that was followed by her MANGEKYO awakening was already seen by Kashin Koji with prescience, judging by his statement from an earlier chapter. Now here comes the most interesting part. You may be thinking what's different about Sarada's MANGEKYO is that the source of its awakening is the feeling of love, but this statement is kind of misleading. According to Tobirama, Uchihas are very passionate when it comes to uplifting bonds, such as friendship or love, but when they come to lose such strong feelings, the agony and distress causes their brain to release a special type of chakra which evolves their eyes into the Sharingan. The normal Sharingan awakens through intense emotional stress, often triggered by life-threatening situations, fear, or the desire to protect someone. In contrast, the MANGEKYO Sharingan requires a far deeper emotional trauma, typically the loss of a loved one, causing some overwhelming amount of grief that unlocks unique abilities in each eye at the cost of eventual blindness. Now when we say Sarada awakened the power through love, it may be true for the Sharingan, since she was overwhelmed on the thought of meeting her father. Her MANGEKYO awakening is a different story, as it did not unlock solely because of love. Rather, it was the fear of losing Boruto permanently. According to science, both the fear of losing someone and actually losing it enhance some of the same brain chemicals, particularly cortisol, adrenaline and norepinephrine. However, the actual loss induces grief, withdrawal and deeper emotional pain, which means the effects are obviously stronger than the fear. In Sarada's case, she was pretty convinced that Boruto is gonna die, which may have created a loss type of reaction in her, which is how she awakened the MANGEKYO. Remember how Tobirama explained that an Uchiha's love is deeper than anyone else, and when they lose it, that love turns into an all-consuming hatred. The fierce hatred part is obviously not applicable to Sarada, since her powers originated from love and protectiveness, instead of the feeling of vengeance and justice. The scenario would have been different if Kawaki had killed Boruto in front of her eyes. It may have triggered her ancestral cycle of hatred again, but since the story is more about love than hate, Sarada naturally developed into an Uchiha who's free of hateful feelings, and this even reflects in her new power. All the previous members had unlocked abilities that were a manifestation of pure hate and despise, but Sarada's cosmic ability is a reflection of her knowledge of science and the outer space. After observing a magnetic radiation as the best counter to Ryu's iron sand, her MANGEKYO awakened a power which is similar to the magnetar, putting the good guys on a massive advantage, as foretold by Kashin Koji. I even feel like Koji is going to be the one who will explain the phenomenon behind Sarada's new ability to us in the next chapter. It would be interesting if the ability could actually manifest all the cosmic marvels, which would be the best offensive and complementary techniques against her opponents. Now as for why her eyes did not bleed after activating this eye, well, the most common reason for blindness is the overuse of this power, which leads to progressive blindness due to ocular strain. That's pretty reasonable, and judging by how Mitsuki also knew about her MANGEKYO sharingan, it could be that they had a training session in the past where she activated the eye before, or maybe Orochimaru is the one who told Mitsuki about this special eye, and he might be the one to evolve her MANGEKYO in the future. Now let's read some of the theories dropped by you guys on my recent post. Honestly, many of you have cooked delicious with the theories, but I have only chosen the 2 best ones for this video. But don't worry, as there will be a follow-up where we will explore the black hole theory as well as the possibility of more manifestations of the Sun MANGEKYO. So don't forget to subscribe if you wanna see that. And let's move on to the first comment, which is from Kobe Koruna, who has drawn some parallels between Sarada and Obito's MANGEKYO journey. It reminded me of a panel where Sarada's recent pose looks almost identical to Obito from the war arc. The theory talks about how both of them share the will of fire. They both aspire to become Hokage and protect their loved ones. However, the times that they lived in were vastly different. Obito's era was filled with war, suffering, and negative influences like Black Zetsu, which played a huge role in shaping the Uchiha's tragic fate. Sarada, on the other hand, grew up in a time of relative peace with less daily fear compared to her ancestors. The way a MANGEKYO sharingan awakens is influenced by the balance between love and fear in an Uchiha's life. The one used by Obito was awakened reactionarily. He had to experience extreme fear and trauma before it activated. His life was filled with suffering, making his MANGEKYO dependent on tragedy. Sarada, however, had a much greater love to fear ratio in her life. This allowed her to awaken the MANGEKYO preemptively before actually losing Boruto. If Obito had lived with the same balance of love and fear as Sarada, he could have awakened his MANGEKYO before losing Rin, rather than reacting to her death. Unlike previous Uchiha, Sarada did not have to lose someone important to awaken her MANGEKYO. She is the first Uchiha to awaken a preventative variant, meaning that she was able to activate it out of the fear of loss rather than actual loss. This is actually a significant shift from how the Uchiha clan has historically developed their MS abilities. Hypothetically speaking, if the past Uchiha had experienced a life filled with more love and less fear, they might have awakened their MANGEKYO sharingan before tragedy rather than after. In a nutshell, it can be concluded that the Uchiha's tragic cycle of awakening the MANGEKYO through suffering was not a necessity, but a result of the harsh circumstances they lived in. That's actually a really great way to look at the overall situation, and I don't see any contradictions of this theory from the main lore. Next up, we have Mahdi Hassan, who believes her ability could be named after a Japanese deity, MYTHICAL. When Sarada's MANGEKYO sharingan pattern was first revealed, it strongly resembled the sun, leading many to believe her abilities would be related to solar manipulation or the flame god Amaterasu. Given that Amaterasu is a legendary fire-based Uchiha ability, many speculated that Sarada's power might be an advanced version of it. However, the recent chapter indicates that this expectation has been subverted. Rather than controlling solar flames, her abilities appear to be based on something far more unique, a dwarf star or a dead sun. Instead of a sun radiating flames, Sarada's powers seem to be inspired by a dying star transitioning into a black hole. When a sun collapses into a dwarf star, it eventually becomes a black hole, an entity with infinite mass that pulls everything into it. This aligns closely with gravitational forces instead of fire-based techniques. Interestingly, this concept matches the Japanese myth about MYTHICAL, a powerful celestial goddess associated with dead stars and black holes. In Japanese mythology, MYTHICAL is a goddess adorned with rings, necklaces, and jewelry made from dead stars. A consistent detail across all depictions of her is that she has 6 arms, which symbolize her immense power. She is often shown levitating celestial bodies like stars, planets, and comets, while at her core, she carries a black hole. According to prophecy, any object that drifts too close to her is inevitably pulled in, crushed, and devoured due to her massive gravitational pull. This unstoppable force of attraction and destruction mirrors the way the black holes absorb everything around them. Sarada's MANGEKYO sharingan ability closely mirrors the legend of MYTHICAL. The way she opened a space barrier that absorbed Ryu's iron sand demonstrates an ability similar to gravitational absorption. Just like MYTHICAL, Sarada appears to possess a black hole-like power that can pull in and consume matter rather than simply destroying it with flames. If you are interested in the fate of Boruto's Jogen or the hidden backstories that will be revealed in the future, make sure to check out these videos right now. I will see you next time with some more Sarada stuff.